Hello, and welcome once again to the Dental Marketing Mastery Series. This podcast is brought to you by dentalwebcontent.com and New Patients Incorporated. I'm Howie Horrocks, the founder of New Patients Incorporated. Along with me once again is my friend and partner and the president of New Patients Incorporated, Mark Dilatush. Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
Hey, Howie. How are you? It's podcast day and time, huh?
Wahoo! Love these podcasts.
Yeah, I know. Actually, it's, I've been writing my whole career, and man, that's hard. It's a lot harder to write than it is to put a microphone and a computer in front of you and just have a conversation with your buddy.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, okay, so today's topic is design.
Oh, yes.
This is near and dear to Howie, my partner and my friend's heart, because he is the creative half of this company. For those of you who know Mark Dilatush, me, you're probably laughing right now and saying, why does Mark even have a microphone if we're going to talk about design? Because I tell everyone, if I designed what you are going to advertise, it would look like a 6-year-old drew it with a green crayon. and that is actually factual. That's true. Okay. I'm not a designer, and I can write on business. I can write on this, on dental marketing topics. I can write fairly well there, but I wouldn't know what to write to attract a dental consumer. That's my buddy. Okay. But so here's what we're going to do today, or for this session, is I'm going to tell you how incredibly important design is. And I'm going to tell you from a statistical level, which is my department. That is where my head is always at. So how important is design? Design will make or break every advertising you ever do for the rest of your career. Statistically, it will absolutely, the variance between an effective design and an ineffective design, the cost variance is 100%. Okay. So, and very few things in life where you get a variance of 100%. Okay. When you see black or white, okay, there is no gray area. If you have a bad design, it's bad. Okay. And it's going to cost you all of your money. Okay. Not one person's going to call you. Okay. So
there'll be no ROI on that.
There is zero ROI. Well, it's negative ROI. So that's how incredibly important design is. So now you say, well, how do you test design? And I'm going to tell you, and for the purposes of this conversation, this 30 minutes that we get to share with you, let's just keep it, because there's different ways to design in all media types. So let's just make it this conversation about either websites or external mailers. Okay, because you know what? If you do them right, you kind of design them the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. So here's what you measure when you measure effectiveness of design. You measure things like size, fold, scroll, margins, font size, font color, graphic, picture density, word density versus word density, and sides. All of those things for each topic. By the way, if you didn't listen to the last podcast, there's a marketable attributes scorecard at our new website, dentalwebcontent.com. If you go under resources, free downloads, I know I sounded like that was a question. I think it is a question, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. If you go there to the free downloads, you'll see it. It's called Marketable Attributes Scorecard. And what I mean by testing all of those within design is each one of those subjects is tested within all those design parameters when we build websites and mailers over 27 years of doing this. So if you test every one of those and you test them over that period of time, you get a statistical measurement of what works and what doesn't work. And and here's why we're having this conversation, because, well, not just why, but one of the reasons why is because when we build a design, some of our customers or some of our prospective new customers who ask for a sample will say, I don't know, man, I don't like it. Right, Howie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to hand the microphone, for the most part, over to Howie, who can tell you why this, I guess it's a USA Today kind of a style, works. Go,
Yeah.
Howie.
Well, actually, we kind of touched on this in a previous podcast, or was it an article? I can't remember, but about what the dentist likes and doesn't like, and in fact, what we like and don't like. And we kind of dispatched that whole topic and set it aside and replaced it with, well, as long as it doesn't violate professional standards, it doesn't matter what you like. It matters what the consumer responds to. So that if you start your design process from that point of view, you're going to be much more effective. And if you let your personal preferences interject, or the preferences of your staff or your spouse or your janitor, you're going to run into trouble, because almost everybody has their own ideas about what makes good advertising. I've got my ideas, Mark's got his, and really it comes down to the good ideas are really the ones that the consumer responds to. So with that groundwork, I'm going to attempt to explain how New Patients Inc. and how Dental Web Content have arrived at their design philosophy over the years. And it goes back, Mark mentioned the USA Today concept. That's kind of what we have called this over the years. For a long time, it was proprietary. We just sort of kept it to ourselves, but not anymore. It's in our last book, and we want to get the word out about it, because it's a good approach to design. And
it's in every piece of content on dentalwebcontent.com too.
Yeah, exactly. And so what do we mean by that? Well, some of you oldsters in the audience may remember going back to 1974. That's when the newspaper USA Today first appeared on the scene, okay? And it was very different. In fact, the little stands that they sold it from looked like television sets, which was entirely intentional. It was the newspaper's attempt at trying to catch up with the television age, because TV was capturing most of their audience, and it was going away. And the venerable old publications like the New York Times and just newspaper after newspaper were having trouble attracting revenues. So along comes this upstart USA Today. Well, fast forward just 10 years after that, and it has become, or it became, the fourth largest English language newspaper on the planet, even though it was USA Today. Okay, so that tells you something right there. Tells you a lot. So, we took a look at that, and we thought, there's a modeling possibility here that we need to look into. Now, if you looked at the newspaper at the time, it was very different. First of all, it had color. No other newspapers had color. Are you kidding me? And it also took advantage of what we would call the short attention span, although I think that's mislabeling. That what they did was they presented the story in what I call a vignette, a short version of the story that focused on just the vital information that the consumer, the reader, might want.
And keeping the reader wanting more.
Yes, that's right. And many of the stories started on the front, but they continued after the fold, it's called, further back, which exposed the reader to more advertising. So that was another reason they did that. And there are many other parts about this. I don't want to too long about it, but that's sort of where we got this version of design. We want to present, here's the problem that consumers have. Or it's not a problem, it's a question. There's two questions. First question is, what are you going to do for me? What's in it for me? We all know that. The second question is, why should I choose you over the 37 other choices that I have? Very good question. You have to have a good answer.
You have to have several good answers.
Yeah, exactly. Our answer has been, you need a boatload of answers. And you need a benefit-driven, explained benefit for each service or anything that you do. You need to build your design so that it is a 6-lane, 8-lane, 9-lane superhighway to your front door, not a little bike path. Okay? You need to give people many reasons to choose you, not one as in price, not two as in another price.
Right. Price break number 2.
Yeah, but build it around benefits. What will this do for the consumer who's reading this or looking at it on the web? And why is it that they should choose you in your practice? Now, if you give people 10 reasons to choose you, probably only 1 or 2 of them might even relate to them or their families. That's enough. That's enough.
Right.
So, and we build our design that way, to present in short, impactful vignettes, each benefit that you bring to the table as a dentist.
Yeah, I can go into our websites. I mean, if you go to our website, or not our website, but our client websites, you're going to see a pretty familiar pattern. The pattern is to establish understanding of the problem. Do you snore at night?
Right. Is snoring dangerous?
Right. Are you afraid of traditional, braces or whatever? Okay. In other words, you connect with the reader by establishing an agreement that their problem is really a problem. Okay. Then you present the solution to them. Well, we can fix X using Y. Right. And then at the very bottom, you make it real easy to find out if they're a candidate. If you think you're a candidate for Y, come on in for a complimentary consult and, whatever. We'll take a look. Okay. So your web page really, from a consumer friendly standpoint, for those services needs to be about, half a scroll. Doesn't need to be long. The concepts are, these are the emotional concepts in connecting with the consumer. The emotional concept is agree with the problem. Establish that you both know that the visitor has a problem. State the solution that you can provide and make it easy for them to come in and see if they're a candidate. Right?
Yep.
I mean, you don't need 67 pages of information to do that. What you want to do is have the person travel through the emotional steps. You want to control the emotional steps. So at the very end, where it says it's really easy to find out if you're a candidate, call these 7 numbers. You want them to call the 7 numbers. It's what Howie said at the very beginning. It's like, this is about attracting. This is not education. Okay. But no, the vignette piece, man, you can play that out with every medium where you have the space that you can do that. Now, here's the trick. And maybe this will be a good segue, Howie, in design, discussing design, is what if you don't have the space to talk about 9 things? What if you only have the space really to talk about 1? Like radio.
Right.
Yeah. In a medium where you can't get all vignette crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you design for a medium like that?
Well, yeah, that's the key thing in any advertising is you've got real estate. Okay. Right. The real estate might be 8.5 by 10, might be blah, blah, whatever the design is, or it might be a website page, or it might be 60 seconds on the radio.
Right.
Okay. So that's your real estate for radio. So how do you present a good menu of topics when you only have 60 seconds? Well, the answer is you can't, and you shouldn't even try. What you need to do is pick the 5 most marketable attributes of your practice, 5, and you make each spot about one thing.
There you go. Right, and together they become your menu of vignettes.
Exactly. So you have 5 in a row, and you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This has the advantage of being of giving you the opportunity to present more than one reason why people should choose you. It also gives you the opportunity to explain the story of the practice over this length of time. And, you know, if you're just going to run sedation spots, for example, well, then the public's going to end up thinking that's all you do. Or, gee, if I go to him, he's going to knock me out, and I don't want to be knocked out. So you've got to spread out your marketable attributes over a series. And it's a mini series, really, like you used to see on TV.
Sure.
And that's how you do it with radio.
Yeah, and you could say really the same thing for maybe a print ad. Like this month, we might want to put a print ad in a magazine about sleep apnea. Next month, we might want to put it in there about Invisalign.
Exactly.
Right. And the month after that, it might be about subject X or Y or Z or whatever. Right. So there are mediums there where you have the space, like mail or web. You have, well, it depends on how you do your mail. If you do postcards, you don't have any space. If you do larger than, like a brochure type of a mailer, you have the space. There's promotion mediums where you have the space to talk about, let's say, 5, 6, 7, or 8 of these vignettes, 5, 6, 7, or 8 reasons to choose you. Things like radio or television or print media, you really don't have the real estate, so you have to rotate singular messages. Make sense? I hope it makes sense to everybody, because I hope we just saved dentistry $27 million. Really?
I think we did.
These are very expensive lessons to learn, right? But now within design, I will tell you that the normal, like if somebody listening to this went to design school and they listened to their Design 101 teacher, and their Design 101 teacher came up and said, I'm going to now teach you the general rules of design. They are: keep it open, keep it airy, lots of white space. Don't say too much. Keep your word density at an absolute minimum. Use lots and lots and lots of pictures and visuals. Blah, blah, blah. Right, Howie?
Right.
Okay. How does that work for dentistry?
Big flop.
Big flop. Gigantic flop. Okay. So
I'll tell you what's wrong with that. I mean, part of it's correct. Part of it is right. You have to be clear, and you can't have too many words, except and unless those words are the right words. Okay.
Right.
I mean, you can take a topic and you can write 700 words on it, and it's not going to matter to somebody who's not interested in the topic to begin with. So it doesn't matter if you have 700 words or 7 words.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
But to a person who is interested or can be perhaps persuaded to be somewhat interested in what you have to say about your dental practice, they're going to want to know all about it.
Yep.
Or as much as they can about it with the real estate that you have. This makes your copywriting essential, because you can't write a bunch of boring words about how great you are.
Right.
You have to talk about how great they can feel and look, and how much better their lives will be if they get this problem X solved.
Right. Right. And this is great, Howie. This is a great conversation, because in a previous podcast, we talked about the internet, and we talked about, look, there's online promotion and there's offline promotion, and you should never do just one or the other. You have to do both. And we just now in this podcast discussed mail, and we discussed the vignettes, the idea of presenting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or more things about you for the reader to choose in a mailer, and then doing the same thing on the website. In the mailer is a vignette, and the only place they're going to get additional information about whatever service X is to go to the website. That's why we promote the website all over the mailers, right? So they work within that design philosophy, within the vignette design philosophy, or the USA Today philosophy of design. Those two pieces work like peanut butter and jelly. I mean,
Yeah.
like peanut butter and fluff. I mean, it's just.
Well, we see that all the time. We send out
Right.
mailing for clients. Of course, we track it like it was our own money, and
Yeah.
we see their website hits go up.
Right.
Well, where do you think they're coming from?
Right, exactly. So so what you want to do is, if you're going to do offline and you're going to do online, and obviously you're going to do them simultaneously, and you should. And if you're going to do them consistently, and you have this USA Today design philosophy behind your external mail and your website, it becomes unbelievably powerful when you carry the message through. So with your design, with your mailer, if the 8 vignettes say this, and this, they need to be available over here on the website when the person goes from your mailer to your website, learns more, and calls from there. You agree? They have to be easy to find on their website.
Absolutely.
Right.
Front and center. Yeah.
Front and center. Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's design in a nutshell. I can tell you some don'ts. This will be a funny. Well, we'll leave this for the end.
Okay.
I can tell you the design questions that I shudder from. They are design questions about logos.
Oh boy.
There you go. Now that's a designer saying that. Okay. All right. Now here's not really, well, a copywriter saying that. So here's why. This is just friendly advice. It's probably not going to make you any money as a dentist, but it may save you some time. Dentists get all hung up on logos. What is a logo? Give me the definition of logo, Howie.
Well, it comes from logotype, but it basically means what a visual expression of your brand.
There you go. Okay. So having said that, Mark Dilatush from NPI is going to tell you, everybody listening to this, that none of you are branded. The definition of branding for a dentist is when you start seeing patients that are referred to you from people who aren't even your patients.
There you go.
And I bet that none of you are getting those yet. So I bet you none of you are branded. Now, I also understand that the word branding is way overused, okay, especially from people who design logos. All right. So logos are normally step 2. Normally, a doctor will name their practice. John or Jane Q. Smith, DDM, whatever, DMD, DDS. Okay, great. There's your practice name. What's next? I got to draw a picture. I got to have a logo. So they go out and they hire somebody, us or somebody else, to design a logo for them. Well, right behind the logo design are 15 projects that are actually going to get your phone to ring by actual patients. The logo that you're designing has never in the history of dentistry ever generated one phone call. Do you agree with that, Howie?
Well, I admit that we've never actually tracked that.
You're right.
So it's anecdotal evidence, but yeah, I'm behind that.
Come on, people. Okay. So
I called because I really like that little sailboat in your hat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Please.
It's never happened. Well, maybe. Okay, I will concede that it may have happened, and I really want to meet the person who it happened to.
Yeah, that guy or that gal, I want to meet him.
I want to see their logo too. Right. Okay. So outside of you having a magic logo, like Magic Beans, right? just go get something you like. Make sure it's in warm, soft tones of colors. Make sure women won't be offended by it. Just whatever. Mountains, rivers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does. So that's my message to you. And here's my secondary message. Never, ever, ever let a logo design stop all the other projects that are going to get your phone to ring.
Right.
Do not let that happen to you. Okay. Because that's where Mark and Howie sit in the corner of their office and, pull their hair out. Because here we have all these other projects lined up and ready to go, and we have to drop the logo in, and the logo's taking 4 months. And the doctor's calling us and saying, I still don't have any new patients. And we have to say, you still haven't approved your logo, right? So don't go too crazy in logo design. That's my message.
Yeah. That sounds like a good place to end off for today.
I agree. We will be back in a week with another podcast.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Until then. We hope you've enjoyed our podcast today. You can find more podcasts on our YouTube channel, on Stitcher, and iTunes. Also on our websites, dentalwebcontent.com and New Patients Inc.